Hi friends, I'm Andrei from Russky Airsoft workshop. Today I would like to talk about the tuning parts for our Airsoft replicas, in particular the gearbox parts made by Italian manufacturer FPS-softair. A couple of weeks ago I got contact from Luca Bianchi from FPS-softair, and he was wondering if I would be interested in products they are manufacturing. Of course, it is always interesting for me to review the new products, to test the new products, to play with them. So, especially from the manufacturers based here in Europe, like RetroArms, now FPS-softair. Luca was so kind to provide me with a kit on my choice, so I could install it in a replica and use it for a while to test it, to give it a shot, to give my opinion about this. And as I'm using this LCT AS Val as my primary replica, I have decided to get the upgrade kit for this particular replica and install it there and give it a shot. So I will be installing it in a couple of hours. I will take out the gearbox and I will film the full process of the installing, also giving the comments about the compatibility, the air seal, for example, and this kind of stuff. Before installing this test kit inside my AS Val, I would like to give you a short review of the range of the products of FPS-softair. First, main springs. Different kind of springs, starting from 85 meter per second factor up to 120 meter per second factor. Made of steel with addition of silicium and chromium for durability and stability. Second, these spring guides. CNC machined from 7075 type aluminium with steel ball bearings. The aluminium parts are anodized for more durability and for perfect look. It's also important. Next product, the third one, cylinders. All the cylinders are made from steel, very good polished inside, and the outside has this special ribbed form to improve the thermal exchange. FPS-softair produces the cylinders for different kinds and different lengths of inner barrel. For example, this one particularly is for type E, for the inner barrels of the lengths between 400 and 450 millimeters, which is perfect for my AS Val. Also, they have plenty of choice of cylinders for different kinds of inner barrels. Next are these cylinder heads. CNC machined from 7075 aluminium and anodized for more durability. I would like to give more details about the cylinder heads later when I will be installing, because they are using not a standard sorbotan or rubber pad, they are using Vulcalan pads here. So to the next one, next products, these small tiny products but very important. Air nozzles for our gearboxes, different kind of gearboxes. If I'm not mistaken, there are more than 20 kind of nozzles they have in their product range. This one particular made from aluminium, also CNC machine from 7075 aluminium, but also they make the plastic nozzles. All the nozzles are very precisely made. All the nozzles are having the small O-ring to improve the seal. And the last range of products they make are the piston heads, the last of what I have here on my table. All kind of piston heads, for example this one of an advanced type. I will do a comparison with the standard one from LCT. So again, CNC machine from 7075 aluminium, has ball bearings, steel ball bearings, very lightweight, very robust. You will see it in more details later. And also this one is a special one. They have two special piston heads. This one is made from plastic, from POM, and it also has several shims that allow you to better configure, better install, better set up your angle of engagement of the sector gear and the piston. Before I proceed with the installation of these parts inside the gearbox of my AS Val, I will do a small chrono test with this standard setup I have inside my AS Val, and I will do another test after I finish the installation. What I'm going to change inside the gearbox is the cylinder head, the piston head, and the air nozzle. I will leave the spring as it is, SP100, and I would like to see if there will be any improvement, any speed increase, any energy increase when I will finish the installation of these new parts. Let me proceed to the chrono test, and then I would like to continue with the disassembling of my AS Val and installing these new parts. So let me do just a couple of shots through the chrono just to see at which power my AS Val operates right now. Empty. So as you can see, it shoots about 314 FPS with 0.25 gram BBs. Let's proceed with the conversion. Now let's take a closer look to the particular parts. I would like to start with the piston heads. This is a standard piston head from LCT. It is CNC machine from aluminium. It has a ball bearing here, and it has 6 ports that allow the airflow underneath the O-ring here to seal the cylinder correctly. One of the products from FPS-softair that I have here is the advanced CNC aluminium made piston head. It has 8 ports, wider ports in comparison to the one from LCT. It also has the ball bearings, and it has a tiny additional O-ring here that is used to reduce the friction inside the cylinder. One more important detail about this advanced piston head. It doesn't only have the 8 wider ports for the air in comparison to the standard piston head. It also has a lightweight design. Let me demonstrate you this. As you can see, this standard type piston head is solid here, and the advanced type piston head is designed with some metal removed here. It gives you a weight difference about 1 gram, and it can be very interesting for anyone who tries to minimize the weight of their piston assembly. Another one from FPS-softair here is special one, is made of POM CNC machine. It has 6 ports for the air here, wider ports also than the standard ones. It has also additional O-ring. It's not really visible here. It has also an additional O-ring to remove the friction, and it is designed to allow you the correction of the angle of engagement of your piston. So how do they do that? As you can see, the tail, the ball bearing guide here is designed a little bit different than on the standard ones. So you have the ball bearing guide that allows you the different lengths of installation, and also you get 4 additional polymer rings of 1 millimeter each that allows you to modify the angle of engagement by 1 millimeter. For example, let me put 2 of them here. Ball bearing So this is where your piston will come. So you see that you have additional 2 millimeter lengths, so your piston will be a little bit more backwards. I will show it on my gearbox a little bit later. Now let me proceed with the next part, and next part will be the cylinder head. So I have here the cylinder head made by FPS-softair, and this one is standard one made by LCT. The LCT one is CNC made from steel. It has here a double O-ring to improve the sealing, and it has also a rubber pad here as a damper. If we take a look on FPS-softair cylinder head, we see that it has one bigger O-ring. It is wider than the standard one on a cylinder head of different manufacturers. And also it doesn't use a rubber pad or a sorbotan pad, it uses the Vulcalan pad here as a bumper. What are the advantages of this? The Vulcalan is hard but elastic. It has a high dynamic load capacity, so you can use different kind of springs from the softest one to the hardest one. And also it keeps its shape very good, so even if you leave your gearbox for a couple of months and the pad is under pressure, it will keep its form consistently. Along with the standard LCT cylinder head, I'm using the modified LCT cylinder head. This one is with applied sorbo pad made by Airlab, and this one I'm using on my higher power setups to correct the angle of engagement. Next part is air seal nozzle. This one is the FPS-softair aluminium air seal nozzle. Is CNC machined from 7075 type aluminium, and this one is a standard LCT made of plastic. Both have the same length. Also both they have the tiny O-ring here inside to improve the air seal. Next parts are the cylinders. So I have here two cylinders. This one is FPS-softair made of steel. You feel it if you take it. You feel it is heavier than standard brass cylinders. And this one is a King Arms brass cylinder. It is much lighter than FPS-softair. As you can see, both these cylinders are having a cooling groove design on the exterior, which allows a better and more effective dissipation of the heat caused by the friction between the piston head and the cylinder. The FPS-softair one is the E-type. It is used for the inner barrels with a length between 400 and 450 millimeters, which is perfect because I will be using it on my AS Val with the inner barrel lengths of 433 millimeters. And the next parts I have here are the spring guides. This is a standard LCT spring guide made of steel with the ball bearing, and this is FPS-softair spring guide. The base part is also made of steel, however this part is CNC machined from aluminium and decoratively anodized. It is also having a ball bearing, so I'm not expecting much of improvements if I replace the standard with the FPS-softair. However, it can give me a couple of grams lighter gearbox. So next parts are the mainsprings. This one is the standard LCT SP100 spring, and this one is FPS-softair 105 spring. The springs by FPS-softair are made from hardened steel wire, They have a thicker wire, and these springs are hardened to improve the consistency and durability of the springs during the exploitation. I had a full cylinder made by King Arms, this LCT standard cylinder head with applied sorbotan mode, standard LCT piston heads, standard LCT spring guide, and the standard LCT SP100 mainspring. The piston I have here is a Lonex hardened piston, which I have already modified. I cut several teeth here to allow the free movement of the sector gear with this sorbotan mod applied. So I will remove this one, and this is actually the setup I was using. Let me put this aside. The setup I will be using now is the FPS-softair E-type cylinder head, Seal Nozzle. No, okay, I forgot this one. The plastic one was used on my standard setup. And also I will use this advanced piston head, the standard spring guide, and the SP100 mainspring. This allows me to check what is the difference with the compression if I use all these compression parts by FPS-softair in comparison with the standard parts I was using before. So first let me show the standard setup. So as you can see, with the applied sorbotan mode, the angle of engagement here is not perfect, but it is much better than it was on a standard cylinder head. Let me demonstrate you that. The standard head inside piston. So this is what you have. This is a standard piston head without any angle of engagement modification. So now let me install the new setup. FPS-softair cylinder with the cylinder head. Advanced type of piston head, and I will be using the standard LCT polycarbonate piston here, just to demonstrate. And as we can see, the same problem with the angle of engagement arise here. Two solutions for this problem, unless we would like to leave it like this, which I don't like to do. So two solutions here. First one using the modified cylinder head, and the second one is trying to use this advanced new piston head from FPS-softair. So now I have installed this advanced piston head by FPS-softair with all 4 additional rings. Let me see how it will change our setup. So you see, the piston is pushed a little bit more backwards, and the angle of engagement is almost perfect here. It is anyway much better than the angle of engagement with another type of piston head. FPS-softair LCT. The standard plastic nozzle moves here freely, and also it moves freely on the FPS-softair cylinder head. It's not a problem, I still have a good compression. Now let me try the FPS-softair nozzle. It goes a little bit more difficult on the cylinder head, and it moves not that freely. Even when I apply some grease to this, it moves a little bit harder. However, it gives you a better seal when you grease it correctly. So this how the setup looks like now. I have decided to go with the LCT cylinder head with applied sorbo pad. The nozzle, the cylinder and the piston head are from FPS-softair. So let me install everything and close the gearbox, and then we can perform the shooting test. Okay, now let's do the shooting test. So, as you have seen, using the combination of FPS-softair parts inside the gearbox improved the muzzle velocity of my AS Val with more than 10 feet per second. For me, it is a very valuable upgrade, and I will be using it further, just to see how it performs with the time. So, major like for FPS-softair, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Facebook, more reviews are coming. Thanks for watching, guys, bye!